Just tried to hang myself, and I couldn't follow through with it. I don't know why I'm writing this. I guess I just need to talk. I feel like there's nothing more to say. Things have just gotten so heavy that I can't see a way out. At some point, something in me decided it was time to call it a day. I took a plain shirt, tied one sleeve around my neck, and attached the other to a rung in my closet. It looked so simple and terrifying at the same time. At first, I just stood there thinking about what I was doing. Then I sat down on the floor to let the tension build. It's amazing how easy it is to find yourself on the edge of life. Everything was happening slowly, and I could feel every second of it. Gradually, I began to lose consciousness. My head began to spin, my body went numb, and my mouth felt strangely empty. I didn't think about what would happen afterward. I didn't think about whether I'd leave a note or warn anyone. It all seemed superfluous, unnecessary. My consciousness was almost fading when something happened that I couldn't have foreseen. My cat walked into the room. It was only a brief moment. He froze in the doorway, looking at me. His eyes glowed with curiosity, and I could feel his innocence, his incomprehension. This was my cat, the one I'd rescued from the streets years ago when he was just a baby. He was there for me when I was lonely, when no one wanted to listen to me, when I felt lost. And here he is again, looking at me as if asking, "What are you doing, man? Why?" I couldn't let him see that. I couldn't leave him alone. The only thought that broke through the darkness in my head was that he would look for me if I left. He won't realize where I've gone. He'll just sit in this house, alone, waiting for me to return. It gave me a strength I didn't have. I started struggling, trying to pull the cloth off my neck. My whole body was weak, and my fingers were not obeying well. It seemed like an eternity, but I was still able to loosen the knot and free myself. I collapsed to the floor, not believing it had happened. I lay there, breathing heavily, and my cat came over to me. He lay down next to me, as if he knew I wasn't feeling well. In that moment, I felt everything and nothing at the same time. Pain, emptiness, relief. And here I am, alive, writing this. But what's next? I don't know. The only reason I'm still here is because of my cat. Part of me wants to say it's insignificant, but another part of me realizes it was enough to survive. I'm scared that I might find myself in this state again. I don't know how to deal with it. Maybe I need to seek help, or at least tell someone close to me. But there's a fear inside that no one will understand me, that I'll only push people away. And yet I've realized something important. Sometimes all it takes is one reason to stay. Even something as simple as a look from your pet that reminds you that someone needs you. I don't know what to do next yet. Maybe start with a small step. Talk to someone. And if you're reading this and feeling like you're having a hard time, know this. Even if it seems like there's no way out, there is. Sometimes it comes in the most unexpected form, in the form of an innocent being who loves you just for being you. Translated with Deepel.com, free version.
Reddit user writes, "When life's too heavy and hiding isn't an option anymore. When darkness becomes real, sometimes life feels unbearably heavy, as if each new day is another weight added to your shoulders. You carry that weight until you start to fall. And as you fall, you realize you can no longer hide. Even the mask that has been protecting you from the world begins to crack under this weight. My mask has always been my shield. It allowed me to smile when I was screaming inside. I could laugh when everything inside was crumbling. But now it's cracking and I can't pretend everything is okay anymore. The weight of the world is too much. I wonder where I end and all the things people want to see begin. Where am I the real me? It's so lonely behind that mask. It's a silence that is deafening and deafening at the same time. No one lingers to look deeper. No one wants to notice the cracks that grow wider and wider. They smile, nod, say trite phrases, and then walk away. They don't see the shadows I hide in. They don't hear the screams, swallowed up by the silence. I'm here. I've always been here. Hiding in plain sight as if invisible. The mask is beginning to crack. The mask no longer saves. Through the cracks that bleed, pain bursts out. It's a pain as sharp as a knife, cutting through every thought, every breath. It's so real, it's impossible to ignore. Sometimes I think I can fight it. But how can you move when shame chains you in place? When guilt pulls you back into a darkness from which there seems to be no escape? It's like running in a swamp. Each step only drives you deeper. The world requires strength I no longer have. It's breaking me. It's crushing the tiny remnants of hope that are still left. But in this darkness I see her. The one I once was. The one I lost. She's here, shivering in the corner like a hunted animal. Her hands are bloody from trying to get out. She's scratched at the walls of this dungeon until her footprints remain, but they lead nowhere. Her breathing is intermittent, afraid to inhale too deeply lest she feel pain again. She wants to get out. You can see it in her eyes. But something invisible is pulling her back. Something that whispers to her. Stay here. It's easier. You're safe here. The darkness that surrounds. The darkness isn't just frightening. It's lulling. She says this place is better than the light, which can burn. And there's danger in that. When you're in the darkness too long, you start to think it is your home. I see this darkness all around her. It envelopes her, hides her from the world. But I also see her trying to break free. Her hands are shaking, she's clawing at the walls, she's whispering words to herself that sound like a prayer. I can do this. Can do this. I'll find a way out. But the odds are against her. The world is merciless, and the darkness is stronger than it seems. The spark of hope. Why does she keep fighting? Why does she cling to these walls, to this fragile hope? 'Cause there is still life in her. Her breathing is proof. Her shaking hands are the struggle. Every breath she takes is her victory. I wonder if she'll see the light. Will she see that there is more than just pain outside of this cave? Believe she can. But to do so, she'll have to take a step forward. Small step. Perhaps the hardest step of her life. She doesn't know how long she'll have to walk. But there's a light out there somewhere. There always is. And I believe that one day she will find it. Choice that saves. Sometimes the light comes unexpectedly. Sometimes it's a look from a friend who sees the real you. Sometimes it's a random smile from a stranger. Or something as simple as a hug. But before anyone can help, you have to take the first step. Standing up and saying, I'm here. I need to be seen. That silence may seem deafening, but it can be broken. It breaks with every word, every step forward. I believe in her. I believe she can rise up. Not because it's easy, but because her will to live is stronger than any darkness. And one day, she won't just see the light. She will be that light. Translated with DeepL.com, free version.
Reddit user writes, I lied to make friends. I never had any friends growing up. I was a quiet, withdrawn child who always kept to myself. While other kids played noisy games or discussed their secrets, I spent my time alone. No one noticed me, and I got used to this invisibility. But deep inside me, there was always a longing for real friendship, for people who would want to be around me not out of pity, but because they were really interested in me. Everything began to change in 9th grade, when I met Anya. She was the complete opposite of me. Popular, bright, energetic. Her laughter could be heard in the corridors of the school. She was adored by both guys and girls. Anya knew how to be the center of attention, and she knew how to make people feel part of her world, even if only for a little while. When she started socializing with me, I was shocked. I couldn't understand why she chose me, but I felt special because thanks to her, I was suddenly being noticed. People who hadn't even looked in my direction before were now saying hello, asking questions, laughing at my jokes. I loved the attention. I greedily absorbed it like a sponge. But very quickly, I realized one thing about Anna. She was a person who loved drama. If you didn't bring intrigue, scandal, or sensation into her life, she got bored. She dumped people as easily as she picked them up. It scared me. I didn't want her to leave. I didn't want to be invisible again. To keep her interest, I started lying. It was small things at first. I said I was seeing a guy, and we were in a relationship. In reality, I had never even held hands with a guy. Then I made up that I got drunk at a party with friends. even though I never actually drank. Once I even recorded a video of myself taking a puff with a cigarette to prove to her that I was smoking. But that was the only time I ever touched a cigarette at all. These little lies started to pile up. They became part of my image, the way I wanted to appear in Anya's eyes. But it wasn't enough. When I made friends with the new guys at the coaching job, people I really liked, Anya immediately started to get involved. She told them about my made-up stories, and I had to keep lying to maintain the illusion. At the time, I didn't realize how dangerous it was. That all changed in June when Anya got into real trouble. Her mom found out that she had spent the night in a hotel with her boyfriend, and Anya, to justify herself, said that she had been at my house. She made up a story about how I broke my ankle and my parents were away. So she came to take care of me. It was a lie. In fact, she didn't even come to see me when I actually broke my ankle a few months ago. Annie's mom called my mom. She accused me of being a bad influence on her daughter. Anya said I was the reason she went to the hotel and added that I was supposedly joking that she was pregnant. But she didn't stop there. She said I told her how my father cheated on my mom with a relative. My father had died just 2 months before. I was still grieving. I couldn't come to my senses, and now I had to deal with the fact that my friend made me look bad. My mom was in shock. She didn't know what to believe. After that, Anya took it a step further. She started telling everyone at school my made-up stories, making them even more humiliating. All the lies I had made up to keep her friendship now became weapons against me. People looked at me with judgment. Even my friends at my coaching job started asking questions. They were worried about me, but I could see the disappointment in their eyes. I wanted to tell them the truth, to tell them it was all a lie, that I was just trying to be someone they could accept. But I was afraid they would turn their backs on me like the others did. That lie became my prison. I no longer knew who I was. I lived a life I made up to make myself feel needed. But in the end, I lost everything: trust, respect, myself. Now I'm writing this because I can't live like this anymore. I'm tired of pretending. I'm tired of wearing this mask. Yes, I'm scared. I don't know how people will react to the truth. But I have to be honest, if only to myself. Lies have ruined my life, but I hope the truth can heal it. Translated with dpel.com, free version. Subscribe to the channel to hear more interesting stories from Reddit.